The Grand Pacific Hotel's ballrooms sparkled with crystal, laughter, and the polished glow of success, the kind of opulent setting my family always chose to celebrate themselves. My father's 60th birthday party was no exception. A lavish affair where Silicon Valley's elite gathered to honor William Parker, Senior Vice President of Global Operations at Meridian Technologies. I adjusted my simple black dress, designer though they'd never know it, and approached the check-in table where my brother Marcus stood beside his wife. Both gleamed with the self-assured perfection of tech industry royalty. "Emily," Marcus said, barely glancing at me. "You actually came." "Dad invited me," I replied, reaching for my place card. Marcus snatched it first, his smile sharp as glass. "Oh, there's been a change in seating arrangements. We've had some last-minute additions from Meridian's board. Important people, you understand? You'll be sitting with the staff." By staff he meant the hotel workers and event coordinators, the people my family considered beneath them. From across the room my stepmother, Patricia, watched with satisfied smugness. "The staff tables are through there," Marcus said, gesturing toward a dim corner near the kitchen entrance. "Where you belong really. Still working at that consulting firm, aren't you?" I bit back a smile, thinking about the email I'd received that morning from Meridian's board of directors. If only they knew that my so-called consulting firm was just a cover, that I'd spent the last 5 years quietly building something much bigger. "Actually," I began, but Patricia swooped in, her diamonds catching the light. "Emily, darling, surely you understand," she cooed. "We have the CEO of Meridian coming, board members, major investors. We can't have them sitting with someone who works for a living." "I see," I said evenly. "We wouldn't want to embarrass anyone." "Don't be difficult," Patricia whispered, her voice tight. "Your father's reputation at Meridian means everything. We can't risk embarrassing him in front of his superiors." I thought about my father's position at Meridian, about the changes coming next week, and about the decisions I'd been quietly making in boardrooms they didn't even know existed. Then I simply took my place card and turned toward the staff tables. "Of course not," I said softly. "We wouldn't want to embarrass anyone." The staff table was tucked away from the main celebration, but it offered a perfect view of my family's performance. Marcus holding court with mid-level executives, probably bragging about his promotion to regional sales director. Patricia fluttering among influential guests, playing the perfect corporate wife. And my father laughing too loudly at his boss's jokes, still chasing that elusive promotion to executive VP. "Not quite what you expected, Miss Chin," said a voice beside me. I turned to find Robert, one of the hotel's event coordinators, watching me with knowing eyes. He'd used my real name, Chin, not Parker, which meant he knew exactly who I was. "The seating arrangement wasn't my choice," I said carefully. He smiled. "No, but it might work out better than your family expects, especially when Chairman Wallace arrives." So he did know. Of course he did. Luxury hotels like the Grand Pacific catered to the city's true power players. They knew who really controlled the big companies, who sat on which boards, who held the real power behind corporate thrones. "You don't seem surprised to find me here," I said quietly. "The Grand Pacific has hosted many Meridian events, Miss Chin," he replied, "including several board meetings. Though I suspect your family doesn't know about those." Before I could respond, a commotion near the entrance drew everyone's attention. Marcus straightened his tie. Patricia adjusted her jewelry. My father practically jumped to attention. "Ladies and gentlemen," the evening's MC announced, "please welcome the CEO of Meridian Technologies, Mr. James Harrison." Applause erupted as Harrison entered, tall, distinguished, and completely unaware that his position was far less secure than he believed. Behind him came several board members, all wearing carefully neutral expressions. They knew what was coming. "William Parker," Harrison boomed, clapping my father on the shoulder. "60 years young. I hope you're not thinking of retirement yet. We still need you in global operations." My father laughed too enthusiastically. "No plans to retire, sir. Still hoping for that executive VP position." Several board members exchanged glances. They knew that promotion would never come, not with the changes planned for next week. "Emily." I turned to find Thomas Wallace, chairman of Meridian's board, standing quietly beside the staff table. Unlike the others, he had entered without fanfare or announcement. "I thought I might find you here," he said softly. Though I must admit I'm surprised by the seating arrangement. Family dynamics, I said with a shrug. They thought they were putting me in my place. He smiled, the same measured, knowing smile I'd seen in countless board meetings over the past year. Shall we adjust their perspective? Not yet, I replied, watching Marcus beam for Harrison's benefit. Let them enjoy their moment. Wallace nodded, understanding perfectly. He'd been my mentor for years, ever since I'd approached him with my proposal to revolutionize Meridian's technology division. It had been his idea for me to work in secret, building influence through holding companies and strategic investments while my family remained blissfully unaware. The vote was unanimous, he said quietly. The board approved everything this morning. Harrison doesn't know yet, of course. Neither does your father. I glanced at my family, Marcus dropping hints about his sales figures, Patricia touching Harrison's arm while laughing at his jokes, and my father still begging for attention from board members who had already decided his fate. When do you want to make the announcement? Wallace asked. I checked my phone. The confirmation email from Meridian's legal team glowed on the screen. Everything was in place. The contracts were signed. The press release was ready. 5 years of careful planning were about to pay off. Let them finish the champagne toast, I said. It would be a shame to spoil their celebration too early. Wallace chuckled. You're kinder than they deserve. No, I said, smiling faintly. I just understand the value of timing. Across the room, Marcus was loudly boasting about his plans to expand his sales territory, completely unaware that his entire division would be restructured next week. Patricia was showing off her jewelry to Harrison's wife, oblivious that her social standing in the corporate hierarchy was about to collapse. And my father, he was still chasing promises that would never be fulfilled, not realizing that his daughter, the one they'd seated with the staff, was about to become everyone's boss. Robert appeared again with fresh water for our table. Chairman Wallace, he said smoothly, will you be making the announcement before or after dinner? That's up to Miss Chin, Wallace replied. Or should I say, Madam Chairman? I smiled, watching the champagne flow at the main tables. Let's wait for the perfect moment. After all, my family went to such trouble to arrange the seating. It would be rude not to let them enjoy their last few minutes of feeling superior. The moment arrived during my father's birthday toast. Harrison stood, champagne glass raised, delivering the kind of generic praise executives reserve for middle management. To William Parker, he announced. 60 years young and still climbing the corporate ladder. Marcus nudged my father, grinning. Maybe this is the year for that executive VP position, Dad. Across the room, Wallace caught my eye. I nodded slightly. He stood straightening his tie. Actually, he said, his voice carrying easily across the ballroom, I have an announcement about Meridian's leadership structure. The room fell silent. And I smiled. Harrison's smile faltered slightly. Board chairmen don't typically hijack speeches. As many of you know, Wallace continued, Meridian's board has been discussing significant changes to our executive team. Tonight we're ready to announce those changes. I watched my family's reactions. Marcus leaned forward eagerly, no doubt assuming his latest sales numbers had caught the board's attention. Patricia gripped my father's arm, her diamonds flashing under the chandeliers as she practically vibrated with anticipation. First, Wallace said, I'll be stepping down as chairman of the board. Gasps rippled through the room. Harrison's smile widened, until Wallace's next words wiped it away. Additionally, the board has voted for a complete restructuring of our executive leadership. Mr. Harrison will be transitioning to an advisory role, effective immediately. The champagne glass nearly slipped from Harrison's hand. What? But the board never discussed. We discussed it extensively, Wallace replied with a polite smile. Just not with you. Which brings me to our final announcement. He turned toward the staff table. Emily. I stood up slowly, savoring the confusion spreading across my family's faces as Wallace extended his hand toward me. Ladies and gentlemen, he announced, his voice carrying across the stunned ballroom, please welcome your new chairman and CEO of Meridian Technologies, Miss Emily Chin. The silence was absolute. Marcus's mouth hung open. Patricia's face had gone pale beneath her perfect makeup. And my father, he looked like someone had just rewritten his entire understanding of reality. That's impossible, Harrison sputtered. She's just a consultant. Actually, Wallace corrected him, Miss Chin has been the driving force behind Meridian's most successful technology initiatives for the past 5 years. Through her holding company, she controls 30% of Meridian's shares. The board voted unanimously this morning to approve her appointment. I walked to the front of the room, accepting the congratulations of the board members who'd known my true identity all along. My Louboutin heels, the ones my family had assumed were knockoffs, clicked against the marble floor with each deliberate step. Emily. My father's voice was barely a whisper. What? How? That consulting firm you all mocked? I smiled. It was just a cover. I've been building my influence in Meridian since the day you told me I'd never understand corporate leadership. Marcus jumped to his feet so fast he knocked over his champagne. This is ridiculous. She can't run Meridian, she's not even a Parker anymore. She uses Mom's name. Yes, I said calmly. Emily Chin. Daughter of Grace Chin. The woman you and Patricia worked so hard to erase from family photos after she died. The name you thought wasn't prestigious enough for corporate leadership. Patricia tried to recover, her social instincts kicking in. Darling, we had no idea. If you'd just told us. Like you told me about Dad's birthday seating arrangements? I raised an eyebrow. Speaking of arrangements, Marcus, your sales division is being restructured. I'll need you to clear out your office by Friday. The color drained from his face. You can't fire me. I'm your brother. I'm not firing you, I corrected him. I'm giving you the same opportunity you gave me tonight. A chance to sit with the workers and learn how the company actually functions. Wallace stepped forward to handle the formal announcements while I watched my family's world implode. Harrison was escorted out by security after one last attempt to protest. Board members who had ignored my father for years now rushed to congratulate him on his daughter's success. Emily, please. My father approached at last, his voice shaking. If I'd known. Known what? I interrupted. That I was capable of running a company? That I wasn't just the disappointing daughter you hid at staff tables. He lowered his gaze. I was wrong, he admitted quietly. About everything. I studied him. The man who had spent decades chasing corporate validation, who had let his wife and son treat me like an embarrassment, who had never once defended me until I had power over him. Yes, I said softly. You were. I straightened my jacket. And now you have a choice. You can retire with a generous package, or you can stay and work under your daughter's leadership. Either way, things will be different. Different how? He asked weakly. For starters, I said, smiling, you'll be sitting at the staff table at all future corporate events. I hear it offers an excellent perspective on how power really works. Over the next few weeks, Meridian transformed. Harrison's old guard was replaced with innovative leaders who earned their positions through talent, not connections. Marcus was demoted to an entry-level sales role, finally learning the business from the ground up. Patricia's social circle collapsed as corporate wives realized she had no influence left to peddle. She stopped appearing at company events altogether, especially after I enforced a strict no-family policy, except for major shareholders. My father chose to stay, accepting a minor position in operations. Sometimes I catch him watching me run board meetings from his seat in the back, finally understanding what real leadership looks like. Last week, during Meridian's annual charity gala, Marcus tried to pull rank on a junior employee. Do you know who I am? He demanded. I'm the chairman's brother. Former regional sales director, I corrected, walking up behind him, currently on probation in entry-level sales. And if you ever try to use my position to intimidate staff again, you'll be looking for a new job. He slunk away toward the staff table, where Patricia sat pretending not to notice her fall from grace. Harsh, Wallace observed, joining me. But necessary, I replied, watching my family huddle at their assigned table. They needed to learn. Learn what? That success isn't about where you sit at parties. It's about what you do when no one's watching. Later that night, alone in my office, the same one Harrison had once promised my father, I found an old photo from my mother's funeral. 14-year-old me stood apart from the rest of the family, already being pushed aside for not fitting their image of success. I placed the photo beside Meridian's latest earnings report, which showed record profits under my leadership. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving people wrong. It's becoming so powerful that their opinions become irrelevant. The next morning, my assistant entered with a clipboard. Your family's table assignments for next month's corporate retreat, Miss Chin. I smiled, imagining Patricia's designer dresses and Marcus's expensive suits now wasted on the staff section. Same as always, I said. Some people need a permanent reminder of where they once placed others when they had the chance to be kind. Because leadership isn't just about running a company, it's about teaching people that every seat at the table matters. And sometimes, the best view of success comes from the very tables they once used as punishment.